Hello everyone and welcome to Talking Business with me, Danny Pardo. As we get started on this one, I just wanted to say hello and thank you to our new subscribers over on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify and the other podcast providers as well. Really do appreciate your liking, sharing, rating and reviewing and subscribing because it helps other people find the podcast as well. And on today's episode, I'm chatting to Emilio, and I'm headed about 6,000 miles west of where I am right now because Emilio works for the San Francisco 49ers, and we'll be talking about his role there, his career journey so far, and what the 49ers do for local education and the local community. So without further ado, let's go. Let's talk business with Emilio. Hello everyone and welcome to Talking Business with me, Danny Pardo. You've probably guessed it's another American football 49ers themed episode, and you know I get a bit excited when we do these. So over here our guest is going to be the one in charge of keeping it calm and keeping me cool while we talk 49ers and a load of other stuff that I enjoy, and I think our guest enjoys as well. So let me introduce Emilio to you. Hello Emilio, how you doing?
Hi Danny, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you giving up your time to talk football and the other bits and pieces, which we're going to get into. No spoilers. So in terms of Emilio, you might be a fresh face to a lot of people watching or listening. So who is Emilio?
Cool. Yeah, so my name is Emilio Cortez, and I'm a coordinator in the 49ers EDU program. I'm also a Bay Area native, born and raised in San Jose, California. And I've always been a 49ers fan, since I was little. I'm also an artist and a DJ as well. And then when I'm not busy with work, you can usually find me out on the golf course playing golf with some friends.
So artist, DJ, golf, 49ers, education, good grief. How are we going to fit all that in? I only gave you about 5 questions, so I think we're going to be using up all our time here. That's great. So let's get stuck into all of that as we go through this conversation. But as we get started in the conversation, I guess let's take it back to when you're, say, 16, 17 years old, towards the end of high school over there in California. So what are you thinking when you're 16, 17 years old? Is your whole life ahead of you planned out? Have you got all your ideas, but I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do this? Or so you're laughing already. I'm going to guess the answer is no, but did you have it all planned out? What was the thinking back then?
Back then, I was just enjoying high school at the time, being with friends, just going out, not really thinking too much about, what I wanted to focus on in my career. I knew that, I had a passion in the art world. I always enjoyed painting and drawing since I was little. Just always enjoyed getting creative when I could. Back then in high school, I was painting on a lot of skateboards for a lot of my friends. So a lot of them like their customized skateboards. So, and then as I got closer to, getting to that age when I had to think about college, I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do something with the arts. And back then I was looking into going into animation. I had those big dreams of hopefully working for Disney someday. And then as I got more into it, that's when things were becoming more digital on the animation side. And I just wasn't really enjoying it as much as I thought I was. So I ended up switching over in my major into something called pictorial arts, which is a lot more of the visual arts. So more traditional painting and drawing, trying out different mediums, ceramics and other types. And I found myself really enjoying that a lot more. So that's what I ended up focusing in, more of the studio practice. And then graduated from San Jose State University. And then from there, just kind of not really kind of knowing, I just kind of knew I could do a lot of things with art, kind of focused on doing murals here and there for different people, different projects like that. And then an opportunity came around actually working at a local Boys and Girls Club on the east side of San Jose, California. And I was able to be the art coordinator there. So I was able to use what I knew about art and give back to my community and teach kids about art and teach them that, even if you don't have an art background, you can still learn to be creative in your own ways. And so I was there for about probably like about a year or so. And then I was looking to, changing into something else. And then that's when I heard about the 49ers EDU program back then in the early days. So when the stadium was being built, so around 2014, when the stadium was ready, I heard about that program. So I applied for it, not really knowing, too much about, what it was in the early days. And so I was like, okay, well, I have experience working with kids. Let's see, this seems like a good fit. So I got hired there as a part-time employee in the education program. And yeah, it was fun, a lot different compared to where we're at now. But it was a good experience then, just working in that part-time role, getting to know the program all around. And then I ended up leaving again from that position just to kind of focus more on what I wanted to do in my art career. And so I ended up having some solo shows and just kind of focusing more on doing different murals, different projects for different people that would hit me up. And then, we fast forward to 2019, another opening came up in the same program, 49ers EDU, for a full-time position. And yeah, applied for that and was welcomed back with open arms, and been in my current role now going on 3 years. So it's been flying by.
Yeah, what a ride. What a journey to get to where you are as well. We'll come back to 49ers EDU in a few moments, but just to focus on your art background there. And obviously I have a bit more of a UK perspective on things, and being kind of an ex-teacher now over here and speaking to students, and the art industry and the creative art industry is really tough in the UK, and it's especially tough to make a living out of it. Where you are in California, was there ever the feeling that art was ever only going to be a hobby? Is it extremely challenging to make a living out of art, or is it something that if you pursue, you can make it work for you?
Yeah, I think out here in the Bay Area, we have a lot of great resources to help leverage, what you want to do with your art career. I mean, especially living so close to San Francisco, that always inspired me, just seeing all the different murals that are around the area. A lot of the great art galleries and art museums out there. But I feel that, if you really wanted to pursue that type of goal, there's definitely a lot of great resources to help you get in that type of career or that type of field. But for me, it just kind of started out as more of a hobby, and then I always kind of knew I wanted to, have something else, have another, main steady job that could still allow me to still be creative on the side when I needed to. But so it's been good, really good balance now, being able to work in the education side and then still being able to balance what I want to do with the artwork.
Yeah. So for art for you then, as you've grown up with it and used it both as a career and as a side project, or to make a living and all kinds of things throughout your career, has it been useful to you in terms of, say, your mental health or your creativity or keeping yourself focused in that way? Is art that important to you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely a nice way for me to relax, especially if things are getting busy at work. At the end of the day, sometimes I'll just set up my canvas, put some music on, and get into the creative mode, into whatever it is I need to work on, whether it's a custom request or just things that I want to work on personally, other ideas, new things that I want to test out. But yeah, it's definitely very relaxing for me.
Yeah, and just disappear into that creative zone that you create for yourself. So 49ers EDU then. So I remember seeing that get launched and thinking, this looks really interesting, and looking through the programs and the workbooks and all those kind of things. I mean, obviously COVID hit and changed the way you delivered it a little bit. But for those who don't know, what is 49ers EDU?
Yeah, so 49ers EDU is the STEAM education program of the San Francisco 49ers. So the program started in 2014, with the build of the new Levi's Stadium. And during that build, they added some classrooms on site, specifically for the EDU program. And so 49ers EDU, it leverages the game of football and Levi's Stadium as a platform around all the STEAM subjects. And we focus, most of it for kinder through 8th grade students. And so pre-COVID, this was an in-person field trip where school groups from all over the Bay Area would come, and we would take them on a museum tour, a stadium tour, and then we'd go down by the football field and do some football drills. And then we would do a class lesson as well. So it'd be a, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. program day. And we would typically, we could have up to 300 participants in one day, and this would happen 5 days a week. But then when COVID hit, everything kind of came to a halt. We had to get creative and think about how we could still impact our community and reach our target audience for the kinder through 8th grade students and educators. And so we ended up moving things virtually. So hopping on Zoom calls with different classrooms, different students and educators around the Bay Area, and just doing a 45 to hour long virtual lesson with them. And, we got a lot of interest too, because teachers were just kind of thinking of ways that, they could get creative on their end. And this was something new for them. And they were really excited that we were still able to engage with the students just in a virtual manner.
And that's great that you're able to do that for quite a long period of time now. Are you back to doing those in person now, or are they still virtual, or a bit of both? Or
not yet. We're hoping that hopefully by the fall we can get back to doing things in person. But for now, we're just keeping things virtual.
Yeah. And so for the 49ers thing, so I see the 49ers, I'm about 6,000 miles away from you right now. And I see the 49ers, me and my family see the 49ers, they have this international American football team. We've grown up with them. There's the superstars, there's the razzmatazz and all these kind of things of American football. And then you're talking about bringing school children to the stadium to teach them things. And that's a real kind of difference between I thought it's just a sports team, aren't you? Why are you doing all this? So, what do you do then? What are you contributing then to the local community by doing all this? Surely you're just a sports team, aren't you, that make a ton of money and everybody goes home really happy? What are you contributing to the local community?
Well, I think for the ownership, it's always been a high importance for them to have ways that we can give back to the community. That's always been a top priority for them. And so with the EDU program, that was one way that we could actually bring in people and students and educators to a kind of a more private setting for something unique. And being the first sports franchise to have this type of program, it was pretty unique. And it's been great for all these years since we started back in 2014 up until now. Just the high level of interest that we get every single year. It's hard to have so many, enough open spots just because of the amount of interest that we get. But yeah, it's always been a big importance to the team and the ownership to have ways that we can give back to our community rather than just being a game that you watch on Sundays.
Yeah. So going into that then, you must be doing something right because you've lasted 6 years through a pandemic, and obviously things are ticking over and you're growing and you're developing and things. Have you seen other kind of local teams do a similar thing, like the Giants do it or San Jose Sharks or anything? Or have you seen people start to look at you and go, hey, we need to do something like that? You've been kind of a forerunner in these things.
Yeah, I know in the past there have been other sports teams that have shown interest and just kind of wanted to start a conversation about, how did we get started? What is it that our program does? And kind of implement ways into their own teams and their own communities of how they can get involved into something a little similar to what we do. As far as I know right now, I'm not sure of any other sports team that has as big as a program like we do. But I do know that they do. There are other teams that stay involved with youth just in different ways, but not so much exactly like ours.
Yeah, I'm sure yours is looked at very carefully by a lot of sports teams to think about how it can maybe be done with a little bit of different branding or different colours or something. But no, it's fantastic that you do that, because I've always been a big fan of businesses working with schools to bring the real world, so to speak, to life for students. So the fact that you do that and that you're my favourite football team as well really kind of makes me smile, warms my heart. It does, Emilio, it really does. So in terms of then shifted a bit to kind of the culture, and obviously San Francisco and California is a very varied and diverse place, and I see a lot of the 49er things celebrating different cultures. This week, I think this might date this interview a little bit, but the NFL's announcing games in Germany, more games in the UK, games in Mexico, I think, next year as well. So for the 49ers, bringing it down to a team level then, you celebrate lots of different cultures through various events throughout the year. Can you talk a bit about how you do that?
Yeah, so I think it's always been a big importance to just knowing how diverse we are out here and in the Bay Area and the rest of our fan base, right? We have fans from all over the world. It's always been important to us to be able to give back and support those fans just to show, I mean, a good way to show them that we care as a team and that we see them, right? And I know the players truly appreciate it too, all of the support that they receive from all over the world. So just, this past season, one cool thing that happened was that I got to be involved in the Latinx Youth Award recipient ceremony, which happened before the 49ers versus Green Bay game. And so I got asked if I had time to paint a custom Latinx themed football to give as the award to the recipient. And so it was a great way to just kind of see it all come together and be down there on the field to recognize the recipient and to let fans know as well that, there's people here that look like them, that, such as myself, that represent the Latinx community. And so I think things like that, and then we have our ERGs too, our employee resource groups that are helping to leverage those voices to the rest of the fan base. So we have 49ers Build, which is for the African American employees. And then we have our 49ers Lead, which is the Latinx employees of the 49ers. We have 49ers Apex, which is for the Asian and Pacific Islander employees. And so, yeah, just creating things like that helps us, have a bigger voice, not only in the organization, but throughout the rest of the NFL. So I think things like that have become very important and have always been important as well to the 49ers.
Yeah. And it's fascinating then to watch that challenge of being an organization that helps and supports and works with the local community, and then also presents itself on a massive global stage. And your kind of role in that with the education side is really interesting. So when you got to do that and you got to use your artwork while you were at work, so to speak, and get paid for it, really kind of express yourself on that, is that something you're thinking, I need to do more of this? And has there been call for that? Have you done other pieces of artwork for the Niners? And that's a nice tangent to your job.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of happened more this past season, just other collaborations between other departments. So the collaboration with the football was kind of a mix between the marketing side and the creative team, so the graphic design side. And then, yeah, just being able to collaborate like that was a first for me since I've been working there. But I mean, everyone had known that, I have my background in art. So I think just from them kind of seeing more of what I'm capable of doing, that's where it kind of started the spark there. Like, hey, why don't we get Emilio involved in some of these other projects? And so it's been cool, as long as I'm not busy with my work on the EDU side, then I have time to work on all these creative projects with the other departments.
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't be the last time we see your artwork in public. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of you as we go forward with the 49ers. So I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret here. Now, I applied to work for the 49ers when I left university when I was about 21, right about 2000, 2001. And for some reason, they said no. I don't know why. But hey, I'm not bitter. I have kept the letter. It's still in a folder upstairs. So in terms of working for the 49ers, then, so this season, if you know anything about football, and especially if you're a 49ers fan, ups and downs would be an understatement. Historic, mind-bending moments and games tenser than anything. What's it been like to work for an organization like that, especially if you're a fan? What's it like to go to work and know that you're part of that, you're contributing to that, and have it almost as part of your psyche if you're still rooting for them when you're not at work? How does that feel?
It feels good. Definitely different from, before working there, just being a fan and just kind of not knowing how much more we have in our organization, outside of just the game of football that you see on TV. There's so much more that's involved. And so just being there and kind of seeing what goes on behind the scenes is really cool to me. Just being able to meet a lot more new people that actually make the game of football happen. There's so much more behind the scenes that goes on. But yeah, it's always exciting. I always enjoy walking into the stadium for work and walking to the office, and it's definitely a different feeling when the stadium's empty rather than when you're there on game day with 70,000 fans. But just being able to take it all in. I remember that first day when I was first hired and coming in, and just being able to walk down there by the field and just seeing how the players feel, and just being in that whole stadium was it's an exciting feeling for sure.
Yeah.
Never a bad day working
Yeah.
for the 49ers.
You sound really humble with it as well. It's so nice to hear. But I don't know if you noticed the whole way through you were saying that it was just your smile just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you'd spotted that. You'll have to watch it back and go, oh yeah, it really did. So I mean, that's great that you're involved in it. So is it all? I guess we can look at careers in sports. There's a lot more to it than we know, both where we are and where you are. But careers in sports is absolutely huge, and obviously it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But people kind of struggle sometimes to see past the idea of, oh, well, you're either a player, maybe physio, maybe a bit of marketing here or there, HR, I don't know. But there's so much more to it, isn't it? Like including your job there. So in terms of careers in sports, then is it as glam as we might think? That you're like, oh, well, I work for the 49ers, everything's rosy, or are you having those like long days where you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Is it all just, oh, I work for 49ers, I've made it, put your feet up, kick back?
I mean, I think just like with any job, there's always plenty of work to do all the time. There's going to be stressful times. There's going to be times where you get some downtime to kind of relax, but you always want to keep thinking forward, keep pushing forward, thinking about, the next season, right? I know for our creative team with the 49ers, they're always working on any creative assets that we need, whether it's other departments or, for the team. They're always thinking about what's coming ahead, always thinking about the future. So yeah, I don't think the work is never ending, in any department. And especially for us on the EDU side, we're going by the school year. So there's always plenty to do. Always start planning for the next school year and thinking of ways that we can still keep everyone engaged and keep things going.
Yeah. And what's next then for the 49ers EDU? If you're always kind of constantly thinking and creative, are you looking at hitting maybe different age ranges or different locales or anything like that? Do you have future plans for it that you're allowed to talk about, of how and where it's going?
Yeah. So, I mean, being that we're still doing things virtually for now, our plan is to, hopefully have things up and running again in person in the fall, if everything goes as planned. And then as far as the age group, right, it's always been a focus on kinder through 8th grade for schools around here in the Bay Area. But recently we launched a new lesson, which is currently virtually, but I believe it'll be in person once we get to that point, but gearing towards high school, so 9th up until 12th grade. And it has to do with data analytics. And so we partnered with SAP, who's one of our partners at the stadium. So it'll be 49ers SAP lesson there. So yeah, definitely trying to broaden our audience and trying to get more people involved that way. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, and do you think in terms of a long-term planning, and maybe I'm going a bit too far ahead here, but all this talk of virtual reality, the metaverse and things like that, is that something that's kind of on your radar that we could be doing something with that? Or is that a bit too far-fetched at the moment for where you're looking at for education purposes?
Yeah, I know it's something that's been touched on a little bit. I know currently, I think it's up now, but we do have a virtual museum tour that fans can check that out online. So yeah, there's definitely some virtual aspects that we've been talking about and kind of thinking about. But yeah, it's definitely something that would be pretty cool to see in the future if there's ways that we can incorporate that into our program.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting times as somebody who still works in education to hear all the talk about the potential and the possibility for it. To think that students here could visit the stadium by just popping a headset on is really quite exciting, isn't it? Speaking of which, will you be bringing any international schools over? Do you need to ask your boss? Maybe because I know a few people who might want to come. So
no, we'd love to make it happen if there's ever an opportunity. But yeah, definitely have to run that one by my director.
Yeah, top of the list if you don't mind. We, we'll. I promise to bring students. It won't just be me and my mum and dad or something. I will bring some students over. So it's exciting times, and really for the 49ers and for EDU and the community and all those kind of things. Do you have a particular focus that you look at? Do you say, right, this year our target is this certain target market or this certain area, or is it always that you're looking at absolutely everything and how you can improve on absolutely everything? I mean, how do your targets kind of work like that?
So for the most part, our target has always been to target what's called Title I schools. So sometimes the lower income schools who might not otherwise have an opportunity to come on a field trip like this. So that's why we've always made it an importance, or I guess we've always made it a priority to keep our field trip free, which is pretty rare out here in the Bay Area, right? A lot of field trips they have a cost associated with them, and when we were doing it in person too, we were able to provide free transportation to a lot of the groups that qualified for it. So that was another important thing for us, because that's always a big cost, right? To try and plan a field trip, and especially the transportation cost to try and get there. So that's something that we've always had as a priority. And that's something that we hope to continue in the future, to keep targeting those Title I schools. To we try to aim and hit at least 60% Title I schools that get to attend our program, and then the rest we just try and fill in with other groups that are interested.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's fascinating to hear that, because obviously being in the UK, we hear a lot of talk. We don't hear much of that. And, that local community involvement, which we keep coming back to. And it's obviously exciting times for 49ers with the marketing deal around the world that you've now got in Mexico and the UK. Personally, very exciting. But what about for you, Emilio? What's next for you? Are you? I mean, I'm not again trying to say what your next job's going to be, but in terms of for you, we've spoke about your artwork, we spoke about your involvement in the 49ers. Have you got kind of personal goals within the organisation now, or in your own kind of personal side of things?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely see myself staying here with the team as long as I can. It's a truly enjoyable job, something that I've never had a bad day coming into work and working with my team. It's a great set of people, and everyone else in the organization as well. Just everyone gets along great. But yeah, definitely see myself still continue with the art, working on different projects. So I got some fun projects coming up in the future that I get to work on just outside of work. So that's always fun. And keeping up with the DJing as well. That's another nice little getaway for me, just to be out, keeping people happy, dancing on the dance floor, which is always nice.
That's great. Yeah, you're contributing to the local community in a variety of ways. Let's call it that. So that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you spoke there briefly about culture. I did have just one more question, but now you've got two. So in terms of the culture is something that's discussed a lot in lessons and business lessons all throughout different levels of business studies teaching. So I'm kind of curious, how would you describe the culture of working in the 49ers? Does that include maybe working the players on the field down to all other departments of the organization, you, HR, marketing, janitorial, everything? How would you describe 49ers culture?
To me, it's always felt like a one big family. Since the first day I came in, everyone was always very welcoming. It's always exciting, especially during football season. There's always a lot of exciting things going on. But yeah, it's just always felt like one big family. Everyone gets along great. It's never, as far as I know, I haven't seen any bad things happen. But yeah, definitely like that's the way I can describe it. It's just one big happy family. Always looking forward to the next season, and always looking forward to making that goal to make it back to the Super Bowl.
That's it. Looking forward to the next season is an understatement. Yeah. Sorry, my mind dwelled then on those last few minutes of that last game, but I'm going to bring it back and focus. Are you over it yet, or are you still kind of what happened?
Yeah, I mean, the week after, I think everyone's just kind of sad, right? It's like, oh man, that's the season. But I mean, there's plenty to look forward to, plenty of things to keep working on, and I know the team will be coming back healthy, coming back strong, and we'll be hoping for a good season again.
Yeah, we are excited here in the UK. I'll tell you, there's the 49er faithful here in the UK are excited. So where can we find information about 49ers EDU then? Wherever we are in the world, obviously I'm going to presume it's online. What are we searching for, or where are we going to find it?
Yeah, you can just go to 49ers.com/edu, and that'll be our homepage there. You'll find out plenty of information. Find some cool videos on there. We find our digital playbook, which was something pretty cool that we got to work on during COVID. So it's our digital playbook is something that we would typically give out in person. So we made a digital version of that, which is available in both English and Spanish, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that digital playbook is brilliant. That was one of the first things I saw, and I was just blown away by the creativity and the effort that got into that. So, okay, I'm going to throw one last question at you here that I haven't prepped you for. So if you could go back to, say, when you're maybe 17, 18 years old, the age of most of the viewers and listeners to this, and give yourself a little bit of advice, or you wish somebody had given you some advice that you'd maybe stuck with, used as a mantra, what would that advice be?
I think for me it would just be, don't feel discouraged if things don't go your way. Say if you don't get that job that you applied for, that's fine. There's plenty of opportunities out there. Something better will definitely come your way. So yeah, definitely don't give up. Don't feel bad. Don't feel sad. Don't feel discouraged. Things happen. That's life. But definitely find a new opportunity that'll bring you much happiness and joy.
Oh, that's brilliant. Emilio, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. As I said at the start, taking the time, and that still holds true. I've learned so much today. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking 49ers and education. And I wish you all the very best for all your artwork and your career and the DJing. Let's not forget the DJing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our paths will cross at some point physically when in amongst the 49ers travels around the world. But for now, stay on the line for a second or two. I'll say a quick cheerio there. But for now, I'll just say thank you so much for talking business. Really appreciate it. And cheerio.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Emilio, for talking business with me. Really do appreciate it. And it's great to hear what life is like on the inside of a San Francisco 49ers organization, and the great work that you and your team are doing for the local community. So, go Niners! And for everybody else, thank you as well for liking, sharing, rating, reviewing, subscribing, doing all those good things. Please do feel free to say hello on any of the social medias. And until next time on Talking Business with Danny Pardo, I'll just say thank you and a cheerio.